The movie starts by showing us two teenagers named Woody and Nell. They live next door to each other and grew up together. They even go to the same school. But now, they're not that close anymore and hardly ever talk. One night, Woody's blasting music and dancing like crazy in his room. Suddenly, Nell bursts his bubble. She yells out her window for him to turn it down. She's trying to study, and their exams are coming up soon. Woody, being a total jerk, ignores Nell and demands that she must flash at him. Obviously, this makes Nell furious. She slams her window shut, but in the process, her clothes get caught and tear. Woody gets what he wants as Nell goes naked for a moment. It's embarrassing, and she's even angrier with Woody now. Now we learn more about these two. Woody's family is pretty normal, and he's the star of the school sports team. Schoolwork, not so much. His parents are mostly relieved he even goes to class, and they figure he'll run the family store one day. Nell's quite the opposite. She's super smart and dreams of going to a great college. Her parents think she'll be a lawyer someday, but she's kind of shy and doesn't have that whole social thing figured out. It makes her feel left out at school, and she doesn't really have close friends. Turns out these two actually hate each other and fight all the time. One day, Woody gets a ride from his buddy horse, while Nell misses the bus. She has no choice but to walk, and guess who spots her? Woody swerves the car right through a puddle, drenching her. Everyone laughs as her hair poofs up like crazy. Soaked and furious, Nell makes it to school. She's ready to give Woody a piece of her mind. But then, she sees him with Brianna, his girlfriend. Ugh, forget it. In class, Woody sneaks over to Nell's computer and types something totally gross. It suddenly blares out loud, and the whole class cracks up at her. The whole class heads to a Mexican culture museum for a field trip. They're stuck doing a lame pair activity, and to make sure Woody doesn't goof off, the teacher forces him to work with Nell. Naturally, they start arguing. They get louder, right in front of this old statue that's supposed to be a god of magic. As they yell at each other, the statue subtly casts a spell on them. They fall asleep, and the spell kicks in. When they wake up, they're trapped in each other's bodies, a total nightmare. They freak out about all the weird stuff, like morning wood and eating foods they hate. When they finally see each other at school, they start screaming and blaming each other for this crazy mess. They decide to fake it till they make it, hoping to switch back soon. At first, it seems okay, but then they start fighting again. They think the other person is totally messing up their life. Woody says weird stuff in class, Nell spills her lunch all over, and she totally bombs at football practice. The coach loses it on her. Another day, still stuck in the wrong bodies. Nell shows up in some super stuffy outfit, making Woody look like a total nerd. He freaks out, and it gets worse when he hears about how she totally bombed at football practice yesterday. Now he's even more furious at Nell. He gets revenge by wearing super weird clothes the next day, trying to ruin her reputation. Nell's furious, so she gets back at him by breaking up with his girlfriend Brianna. The payback war continues. Woody makes a big scene acting like he's going to hang out with a super edgy troublemaker type guy. This makes Nell upset since she's way more careful about who she hangs out with. Woody gets freaked out at the last second because the whole situation feels super weird, and potentially they'd make love soon. Anyway, Nicky's a jerk, so he starts spreading nasty rumors about Woody and Nell all over school. When Nell hears them, she totally loses it. Next scene, they bump into each other in the hallway. Woody's like, "Look, I swear I didn't do anything with Nell. Those rumors are messed up." But Nell's still super hurt. Woody's had enough, so he decides to find Nicky and set him straight. He storms over to the basketball court where Nicky's shooting hoops and goes for a punch, but totally forgets he's not built the same way anymore. Boom. Just then, Nell charges in, punches Nicky square in the face, and makes him spill the truth for everyone to hear. Later on, they start working things out, but Woody's freaking out about his big football game coming up. They try to remember how this whole body swap thing even happened, and suddenly it hits them. They were fighting right by that weird statue of the old Mexican god. They rush back to the museum and try to reason with that creepy statue. Nell does her best to bargain with it, but no luck. Okay, new plan. They're stuck like this, so they gotta help each other out. Nell has to train for Woody's big game, and Woody has to cram for Nell's Yale interview. She's got the moves, he's got the brains. Maybe, just maybe, they can actually pull this off. Later, Nell hits a party with Horse and starts drinking to numb the pain. Woody's stuck at Nell's sleepover, where her friends totally trash talk him. He loses it, and the next thing he knows, they're forcing him to get a Brazilian wax. Talk about a nightmare. The next morning, Woody finds Nell completely hungover from last night's crazy party. He actually takes care of her, and something shifts between them. It's weird, but they start to get each other a bit more. They're both determined to make this work, to pass those tests for their other half. The night before the big tests, they agree to go to the school party together, just as friends. At dinner that night, Nell chats with both families and discovers their parents were actually close way back when. Turns out, her mom stopped them from hanging out because she thought his family was beneath them. But Woody's parents are totally cool and clearly care a lot about him. But at Woody's place, he finds out Nell's whole family thinks his folks are dumb, even her. He's furious and storms out to blow off steam on the football field. Later, Nell goes to his place to help him study, but he's nowhere to be found. Time to start searching. She finds him at the field, but Woody's on fire. He knows what she thinks of him, and they clash again. But these tests are too important. They force themselves to focus, at least for the moment. The next day, it's Nell's big Yale interview, but Woody's stuck in her body. The dean asks about poetry, and he totally bombs. But then, he starts talking about his love for modern poets, rappers. The dean is confused, and then intrigued by this girl's passion for what she calls a new kind of art. Game night arrives, and Woody's heart thuds in Nell's chest as he sits beside his parents. It's brutal at first. The other team plows into Nell, knocking her down hard. But something shifts. She finds a rhythm, a scrappy kind of grace, and suddenly the ball's flying to her teammates. The crowd roars, and even Woody's parents are on their feet. Yet, it's not enough. They're still behind, the clock ticking down. It's down to the wire, and Nell digs deep. With one final burst of strength, she breaks through, scores the winning point, and the crowd goes wild. A college recruiter spots her out there and offers her a future on his team. Later, they find each other, dazed and exhilarated. This whole body swap thing was crazy, but if they had to do it again, well, there's no one else they'd rather switch with. The statue flares with magic, and in a flash, they're back. Woody's swept up in cheers, but Nell sees him, locked in a kiss with Brianna. Her heart twists, and she bolts from the field. Woody tries to find Nell, but her mom blocks the door and spits out the word uneducated. Inside, the Yale University acceptance letter sits on the table, but Nell's too crushed to celebrate. She wasn't going to that party anyway. Her dad finds her, and a heart-to-heart about Woody follows. Nell confesses her feelings, and to her shock, he urges her to go to the party. Best dad ever. He even has a surprise. A stunning dress and shoes, perfect for the occasion. Meanwhile, Woody's made amends with Brianna, but his forced smiles and distant gaze tell a different story. Suddenly, they're crowned king and queen. As they're forced into a cheesy dance, Woody spots Nell. She's breathtaking in that dress. He can't look away. He ditches the dance, and they spill their hearts out right there. Then, no time for parties. They're making out by their front doors. Their dads surprisingly are side by side, cheering them on. The next day, Nell faces her mom. She's taking a gap year before Yale. No arguments. Her mom fumes, but there's a spark in Nell's eyes she can't fight. Cut to Nell climbing onto Woody's beat-up car, a grin on her face. They drive off, leaving the old life behind. Well, that's the end of this recap. How did you like it? Let me know your thoughts as comments. Also, consider subscribing this channel for more interesting movie and series recaps. See you in the next video. Bye bye.